To our DOB Now license 2026 release. This is about filing representative registration. So before we get started, I know Diego already covered some of this, but I want to make sure it's absolutely clear. You will remain muted during the course of this. Is a question that we need to do some research on. We may have to put in what we call a parking lot, where we will research it and they'll get back to you with an answer to your question. We do encourage your feedback and your participation. We want to make sure this is answering all of your questions. So please do ask those questions, and please do stick around until the end when there may be a chance to ask some questions verbally. So here's what we're going to cover today. I'm going to start with an overview of filing representative registrations. Then we're going to touch very briefly on required documents, statuses, and licensing fees. From there, we're going to talk about what the license process flow is to get licensed, approved, and issued to you. We'll talk a little bit about how to log into DOB Now licensing. And then we're going to go through the process of creating a new registration application. I will demonstrate that. I will go through it in the PowerPoint, and then I will demonstrate it in our training system. We'll talk about how to respond to objections and how to request reconsideration. And then we'll talk about how you actually get the license once your license application is approved. Then I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Andre, who will cover how to renew your license, how to manage your license, how to update your name and or address, and end with some important notes. So let's get right into this. There are two classes of filing representatives. Class 1 filing representatives may present, submit, furnish, or seek approval of applications or construction documents and remove documents from the possession of the department. Class 2 filing representatives may perform all of the activities of a Class 1 and may also before and attend appointments with plan examiners and other department technical staff regarding construction document approvals, including but not limited to plan review, audit review, predeterminations, and determinations. Filing representative registrations are valid for 3 years. To become a New York City registered filing representative, an applicant is required to meet the registration criteria, which we'll talk about in just a moment, but things like age, language, experience, and so on. They're required to complete the required training course or courses. They must begin their application in DOB Now licensing. Now, this is once this goes live, all applications must begin in DOB Now licensing. If you have already submitted an application through, it will interaction, as Diego mentioned. You'll be required to upload all required documentation, pay the fees, and submit the registration application. So we talked about the qualifications. You must be at least 18 years old. You must be able to read and write the English language. You must be fit to perform the work authorized by the registration. You must have character, and you need to have completed the department-approved integrity training. Now, these are not new requirements. These are the requirements that you saw before, and they're still the requirements. So in terms of training, Class 1 registration applicants must have successfully completed the 16-hour filing representative training course. Class 2 registration applicants must have successfully completed the 36-hour representative either have a 4-year degree in architecture or engineering from an accredited college, or have a 4-year degree in another field from an accredited college, and have 2 years of filing at least 50 jobs as a New York City registered filing representative within the 4 years prior to application for registration. Once DOB approves your application, you will need to come into the DOB office to receive your registration card. And like I said before, that registration is valid for 3 years. Now, I said we're going to touch briefly. As I said, we're going to touch on a few topics. There is a document that we're going to be uploading around this upload this presentation onto our page that covers all of the documents that are required for new license applications, for renewals, and for reissues. And when this is posted, there will be a link to that document spreadsheet in this presentation. You'll also be able to access it directly and when we get to that. Similarly, all of the statuses that can apply to license requests, licensing statuses document. And all the license request fees can be found in the licensing fees document. Now, I do want to note late fees. Late fees for license renewal apply if the renewal request is filed 30 days or fewer before the expiration date of the license, 1 year after the expiration date of the license. So having said that, let's talk about the steps to apply for a filing representative registration. First thing is you're going to need to log into DOB now, complete your application, pay your fee, and click submit in DOB. Best case, DOB will registration application. You will need to schedule an appointment to come into the DOB office to get your registration. And then at that appointment, you will be issued your card. Let's talk briefly about how to log into DOB now. And this may not be new to you if you're already working as a filing representative, but I just want to make sure that everyone is clear on this. DOB Now integrated with your NYC ID in June 2024. Requires new users to have an NYC ID account to log into DOB Now. It's a one-time process, whether you were already a DOB Now user or whether you're a new user. For existing DOB Now users, they go to log in. They'll be taken over to NYC ID to create their account. They're going to need to click on a link in an email to confirm their email and activate the account, and then they'll be able to log in. For new users, that process is the same, but after the first time they log in, they are going to need to create a profile and associate any licenses. Then they'll be able to move it into DOB Now. So what you're going to do is when you are on the DOB Now sign-in page, you'll enter your email and click login. If you do not have an NYC ID, it'll take you over to NYC ID to create your registration. If you currently have an NYC ID, you'll just be directed to enter the password that's associated with it. And also, if you know you need an NYC ID, you can click create account. That will work as well. There are step-by-step guides and videos in nyc.gov/DOB Now tips. So let's talk about the process end-to-end to apply for a new license. This is actually going to be very similar to the process for renewing your license, but there's more involved in the new license. So we'll talk about that first. And like I said, I'm going to start by going through this PowerPoint, and then I will switch over to our training system and show you it in the system. So the first thing you need to do is log into DOB Now. And then you're going to hover over the DOB Now licensing module and select New License. You'll be brought to the dashboard where you need to click on the Plus New License button to begin the application. You'll select the radio button next to the license type and click Next. Then you're going to need to select a license class/class type, whether it's Class 1 or Class 2, in a separate pop-up. I'll show you that. And then you'll click Next again. The supplemental investigation questionnaire pops up. This is actually exactly what you will see for filing representative supplemental investigation questionnaires. The answered yes in order to be able to submit. So you'll click submit at the bottom of the pop-up window once you've answered all the questions. And these questions information, but since they all have to. You'll be brought into the general information tab, and a lot of the information is going to be auto-filled from your login. If there is information that is not auto-filled, you will need to fill it in before you can click save. And that includes if there is a filing representative helping you become a filing representative. So you'll fill that out. Now, what if that information isn't correct? Well, here's how to fix it. If you do not have a DOB license, general information is auto-populated from your NYC ID and DOB Now account. If you're going to need to change your name or email address, you're going to go up to the upper right corner and select Manage/Associate Licenses from this person icon in the top right corner. Then you'll select the link and update your NYC ID account. If you need to update your address, you'll click on the Edit button in the same screen. Now, this is if you do not have a DOB license. If you have an existing DOB license, the general information section is going to be auto-filled from that license. And the instructions for updating your name or address information are, in fact, in the Manage Profile section of this presentation. So we will be covering that in a little bit. There will be a question about whether you're a city employee down below all of the information we already talked about. Answer that, and then you need to click Save. You'll get a couple of notifications letting you know what information can't be changed after saving and confirming. Once the application is saved, you will also see a status bar up at the top, and you will see a message saying, complete all required fields that have a red asterisk. Once the Save button is selected, additional sections will appear. Complete all required sections, then select the Pay Now button. After payment is submitted, select the Preview to File button to submit the application. If the status bar indicates pre-filing status, it has not been submitted to DOB for review. You'll get a license application number assigned, and you'll see 5 more tabs show up: background investigation, qualifications/experience, child support certification, documents, and statements and signature. In addition, for filing representative registrations, once your application has been saved, a business information section will appear on the general information tab. You need to click plus add business information in order to add the information about the business you're associated with. You'll get a business information pop-up where you need to enter all information here and then click Save. So before we talk about what's happening on the other tabs, let's try this. So this is our DOB Now login page. Now, I mentioned about how to find resources. The other place you're going to be able to find resources is under this DOB Now licensing symbol. There's a resources button. If you click there, it will show you the resources that are currently up there. These are all from previous releases for things that are currently live in DOB Now licensing. But when we new information, you'll be able to see the presentation up here. You'll be able to click to see things like the required documents. This does not currently have filing rep in it, but it will shortly. And you'll also be able to see videos of these presentations. So having said that, let's start logging in. You need to put in your email address and click Login. You're going to be taken over to NYC ID. Where you're going to enter where your email address may auto-populate, or you may need to enter it, and you'll need to enter your password and then click Login. And this is once you have an NYC ID. On the landing page, DOB Now licensing is over on the right. Button and select New License. This will bring you into, I'm going to delete the previous one I did, the DOB Now licensing dashboard. And up here, we're going to click on Plus New License. I'm going to specify that I'm going to create a filing representative registration. For our purposes, I'll select click yes on all the questions. If you click no on any of them, you will not be able to submit. So we'll click submit, yes on the confirmation pop-up. And it fills some of my information, but there's other information I still need to fill in. For example, I need to fill in the license use because I currently have a DOB now licensing license. There's no license associated with this account. I'm going to need to date of birth, my social security number or ITIN. And I'm going to answer whether I'm a city employee. I'll say no for now. And then I click save. I get my notification pop up, click save again. I get my confirmation pop up, click save, click OK. Now, when I scroll down, there's a new section for business information. And you are required to add a business as part of getting a filing representative registration. So we'll click on, I didn't say it, I just did it, plus add business information. And then we need to enter our information. You'll actually have to type it if you haven't done it before, but I've done this a few times. Once everything has been entered, go ahead and click save. It will show up here under business information. If you need to edit it, you can click on the view button. And if you need to delete it, you can click on this delete button. You can only add one business. If you try again, it'll tell you that you've reached the limit. But if you delete this business, you could add a different business. I'm going to go ahead and click save because we always recommend that you save before moving to the next tab. Now that I've done that, let's go back to our PowerPoint. Investigation. And up at the top, license history, you're going to need to click the plus add history button and enter details of any license, certification, or registration that was issued to you by any city or state. And you must enter at least one in this section. When you click the button, you'll get this license history pop up. And for each one, you'll enter the name that you have the license under, the type of license, the number, the current status, and the expiration date, and click save. Repeat as necessary. Below that, you will see a question asking if you currently have a valid driver's license. If yes, you need to enter the state and the number. Similarly, the next two questions ask if any licenses or government granted privileges have ever been denied, rescinded, revoked, surrendered, suspended, or disqualified. If you say yes to either, there's some additional stuff that will pop up where you need to enter the details. Below that, you will see the education section. This is optional for Class 1 filing rep licenses and required for Class 2. Plus add education and enter all of the details, the education type, the institution or college name, address, country, what your degree was, and what your major was. Below that, you'll see the personal information section. This is where you enter if you've ever been known by any other names. If you have, you'll click the plus add history button, and you'll enter your prior name in the personal information pop-up. Click save when you're done. Next, there's a couple of yes/no questions about whether you've ever worked for a city, state, or federal. If you answer yes to either of them, explain it in the comments box. Below that is the you're going to need to enter the full address of all residences where you've lived for 3 or more months in the past 10 years, or since you left high school, whichever is less. So what you'll do is start with your present address, click plus add residence, enter the time that you lived there. If it's your current address, you don't need to do the to date, and the address, and click save. And then do that again. You'll click OK to finish the process. You'll do that again as many times as is necessary to cover the 10 years or since you left high school. The next tab is the qualifications/experience tab. Again, that you save before you switch to the next tab. There's a series of yes/no questions. The number depends on what license you're applying for. There's a series of yes/no questions about convictions and fines. If you answer yes to any of them, then when you click save again, a new tab called the supplemental affidavit tab will show up. That's where you explain your yes answers. Below that, you need to enter the employment history for each job you are using as qualifying experience. You'll click the plus add employment history button and enter your work history, starting with the current job and then going backwards. It is important, by the way, you have to provide a valid supervisor's telephone number for experience verification. So when you click that button, you'll get the employment history information pop up. There are 2 different tabs that must be filled out. On the employment information tab, you need to enter the dates you are employed, the company name and address, and the supervisor's name and address. And if it is not your current job, you need to enter the reason for leaving. On the wages detail tab, you're going to enter the title you had, what time period that was while you were there, what your wages were per hour, your hours per week, and a description of the type of work performed. Now, if you had more than one title, you can repeat this for any other titles you held. Once you've entered everything, you can click save to complete the entry. And at the bottom of the qualifications and experience tab, the supplemental investigation questionnaire shows up again, and it displays what you chose when you were initiating the application. This is read only, you can't edit it. So before we get to the next tab, let me show you these 2 tabs. So we're starting on the background investigation tab. And the first thing we need to do is to enter our license history. So if I had this is my name, and the type, say a site safety manager license, I would put in, enter my license certification or registration number, and then enter the current status. Whatever status you enter, you will need to enter the expiration date of that license, whether it's in the future or in the past. And repeat as necessary. Below that, as I said, are the questions. It asks about driver's license. If you say yes, enter that information. It asks if any license applications have ever been denied to you. If you say yes, you need to enter that information. Similarly, if any license to you these questions, there's no additional information. Next is the education section. Click plus add education. Select whether it's a certificate or a degree, and then enter all your information. Including any questions that appear here. Now, the details of these questions will affect what documents are required. Names you were known by, put in your previous name and your social security number. These 2 questions, if you answer yes to either one, a comments box shows up where you need to explain your yes answers. Last thing on the background investigation tab is the residence. So you need to enter where you live. So just to make things straightforward for our purposes, I'm going to say that I've lived in my current location. That would be only one thing I would need to enter. If you need to enter more, just keep clicking Add Residence. Now we're going to go to the Qualifications Experience tab, and we're going to, it's always a good idea to save either before or when you click the next tab. Now, for the convictions and fines, I'm going to say yes to all of these because after you save after clicking yes, a new tab is going to appear here, the Supplemental Affidavit tab. So we'll click Save. And now we see the Supplemental Affidavit tab down there. Let's talk about employment history. Straight about it already. Click plus Add Employment History. Our information starting with our current or most recent job and going backwards. Again, I'm going to only for training purposes. We'll enter. You must enter ownership interest. This amount can be 0 if you don't have any ownership interest, but you need to enter it. Whether the company is still in business, and then I need to enter my supervisor information. Is not going to auto-populate because you haven't. Mine does because I have entered it before. I don't need to enter the reason for leaving because I'm saying this is a job. Now, if I try to click save at this point, it's going to tell me I need to add a wage to proceed. So we're going to go to the wages detail tab and we need to enter the title, the time period, the hours per week, and the type of work. And click Add. You can repeat that if there were other titles. Once you've entered all the titles and wages and everything that you've done, now if you click Save, it will save that information. And it will list it here. You can still edit or delete. You can also continue by adding more employment history. At the bottom here, we have the supplemental investigation questionnaire. This is read only, I can't change it. The next tab is the child support tab. It shows up with a single question at first. If you answer yes, then more questions will show up. You answer anything that shows up. So if you answer yes to both this question and this question, you'll see all of this. Answer all of it. The supplemental affidavit tab, as we talked about, appears only if you answered yes to the questions about convictions or penalties and fines on the qualifications/experience. Enter the detail. So if you click on plus add under conviction details, you need to enter the charge or offense, the name of the court, the location of the court, and the sentence or disposition. And that, again, can be repeated if there's more than one. On the penalty and fine details, you need to whether it is yourself or a company that you worked for. If it's the company, you might need to enter the company name. You need to enter the amount that was owed. And then you need to say which New York City agency or authority it's owed to. It could be sanitation, fire department, Department of Environmental Protection, NYPD, buildings, or other. And then you click save. And again, you can repeat this as necessary. The next tab is the Documents tab. All required documents will be listed on this tab. For each one, you're going to need to click the Upload button to add a document. Now, this is actually more documents than will be needed for filing representative licenses, but the same concept applies. Enter everything that shows up here. So when you click the document pop up, file to navigate to the document on your computer, and then click upload to complete the process. If you choose to add additional supporting documents, which you can, you'll click the plus add document button, document pop-up for additional supporting documents. Now, further down on that tab, you will see the documents removed by user section. This applies only in one specific situation. If you choose to add an additional supporting document, and then your documents, if you do that, the documents removed by user section. The last tab is the Statements and Signature tab. There is a checkbox to sign the license application. You must check that. It's a display for background investigation questionnaire and so on and so forth. Answer everything that shows up appropriately. So let me show this to you in the system. We're starting with the child support certification. If I say I'm done here, if I say yes, another question pops up. Again, if I say yes again, more information. Anything that shows up must be answered. In the supplemental affidavit, you'll see the convictions and the penalties and fines. If you have convictions, you'll click plus add, and you'll enter the date of the conviction, the charge, you see a terrible rule breaker here. For penalties and fines, you'll click plus add, choose who. If you say company, then company becomes a required field. If you say self, company is not a required field. The amount owed and to whom it is owed. Click save when you're done. And repeat for any additional convictions or penalties and fines. Now on the Documents tab, and we're going to click Save to make sure everything is up to date. It shows me the required documents. For each one, I'm going to click the Upload button, click Choose File to navigate to the document on my computer. You'll select your file, click Open, and then click Upload. You'll get a notification that's been uploaded, and in addition, the status will test to all of these as appropriate. And then click Save, as we talked about. Before you can preview to file, you need to click the Pay Now button at the bottom of the toolbar on the right to pay your fee. That button takes you to the CityPay website. I'm not going to go over how to use CityPay right now, but there are instructions for that in the documentation for DOB Now. You will be required to pay the amount in full. Once everything is filled out, you'll click Preview to File. Now, if you missed anything, the system will tell you what still needs to be answered. But if everything is filled in properly, it will take you to the application preview. You'll click Next through all of the pages of the application. And then at the bottom of the last one, there is a checkbox that you must click to sign the filing, and then you'll click. There's a notification pop-up, you'll click OK, and you will know it has been submitted because the status bar will update from pre-filing to the next status, which in our case is pending background review. You will also receive an your our path is approved. That means is that the background investigation is complete and the license application can move forward for review by the licensing unit. There's two other possibilities. There's objections. Objections means there's an issue with the license application that must be addressed by the applicant before the background investigation can be completed. And the third possibility is denied, which means that the license application cannot be approved with the information given. You can request reconsideration of that denial. So let's talk about objections first and how you address them. If there is an objection raised on an application, you're going to receive a notification email that there was an objection raised. You're going to need to log into DOB Now Licensing, and from the My Applications tab on the dashboard, you'll have an application that is in objections status. You will see a new objections tab that shows you the objections. You need to click the drop-down arrow, and it will give you all of the details of the objection. You need to fix whatever the problem is, adding documents or otherwise updating the license application as needed. And you need to enter comments about what you did. And once you have done that, you can click Resolve. After that, you're going to need to redo the attestations on the statements and signatures, and then resubmit the application. Note that it will not be reviewed again until it is resubmitted. So let me demonstrate this to you. And I actually need to log out of this license, this login. I have a different one where I have an objection. So I'm going to very quickly delete my browsing data so that I can log in as someone else. So I'm logging in. That's the correct person. I'm going to DOB Now Licensing. And we can see that there is a license application here that is in the view button, or you can double click along the line to open it. Click OK. And now when this opens up, I see that there is a tab. I also see this exclamation point letting me know there's an objection. So when I go to the Objections tab, I see that there's an objection stating documents are missing, and it says the wrong document was uploaded for the LIC 62 document. So now that I've seen this, I'm going to go over to the Documents tab, and I see that that document was rejected. I will need to upload the correct document. And it will change from rejected to pending. And now I can go into my Objections tab, enter my comments, and then click Resolve. I cannot resubmit until I have finished my statements and signature, but I want to show you what happens if I try to click Resubmit at this point. It tells me I need to complete the fields in the Statements and Signature tab. So we go over here, I need to click all those check boxes, and then I can resubmit. Now, what if your license application was denied? Well, if your license application was denied by the background unit, you have 60 days to request that your application be reconsidered. Note that that 60 days is a firm deadline. If you have a reconsideration request in pre-filing, you must file it by day 60, because on day 61, you will no longer be able to submit it. Requested once. Denied, a new application must be submitted. From the My Applications tab on the dashboard, under the Filing Action dropdown, where it says Select Action, we see that this was denied. I will be able to choose Reconsider. The reconsider application will pop up, and the first thing I have to do is click save. And then the only things that I will do is there is a new document called reconsideration statement/affidavit. That's where I will upload the details of why I'm requesting reconsideration. I will also need to redo the statements and signature as we saw before. There is no fee for submitting a reconsideration request, but remember, you need to click save and then preview to file in order to actually submit it. Now, even if you had an objection, let's say everything is now resolved and you can get the license. So once your license application is approved, you are going to receive an email notification to schedule an appointment. You'll need to log into DOB Now Licensing, and on the My App, you will see the status approval letter sent. You need to go into that application, double click on it or select the view button, and then click OK on the pop-up. The very first thing you need to do when you are trying to set an appointment is actually you have to go to the Statements and Signature tab and scroll down and click the check boxes to sign the executive order attestation. There's 2 check boxes. It will not let you do anything else. Once you've done that, select Save. And now you can go to the Appointments tab, which is where you schedule your appointment to go get your license card. You click on plus schedule appointment, and you'll get the new appointment window where there's a calendar where you select the date, and then there's a drop down to select the time. Click schedule and click yes on the confirm pop-up. Scheduled appointment will be listed here on the tab. Now, if for some reason you need to cancel this appointment, you can click the cancel button here and the information will be sent over to DOB. You can then schedule a new appointment. You will get an email notification sent confirming the appointment. The licensing unit is located at 280 Broadway on the first floor in Manhattan. The applicant is required to attend the appointment. A representative can't obtain the license card. The card will be issued at the appointment scheduled with DOB. If a picture is necessary, it will be taken during that appointment. So this is the process for getting your appointments. I'm now going to hand it over to my colleague, Andre, and he will cover how to renew your registration and some of the managed license functions.
Thank you, Martha, and thank you for the warm introduction. Good morning. I'm going to take you guys for the rest of our training for this morning. So I'm going to kick off with our renew registration section and diving right in for renewing our registrations. Registrations can be renewed starting 90 days before the expiration date and up to 1 year after the expiration date. To initiate a renewal, you will click the Renew License button on the dashboard. From there, you've clicked on the button. The Renew License pop-up window is going to appear. And from here, you're going to select the radio button for the license for which to be renewed, and then you'll go ahead and click on Proceed. After that, when you click on Proceed, you will answer if it will be a renewal of change, yes or no. Now, in the event that the answer is yes, you will identify what information will be changing. And now the options available will depend on the license or the registration that is being renewed. And go ahead and click on Next. From there, the renewal form will be automatically filled in with the existing data from the license on the General Information tab. You will start by clicking on the Save button at the top of the form, and then you'll receive a notification, and you'll click on Save again for that notification. When you click on the second Save action, you will receive a notification prompt confirming that the application has been saved, and you can click on OK to proceed. From there, you will proceed down to the Documents section, and from the Documents section, you will update all information that has changed. Even in a renewal without change, some information may be updated. You'll proceed to upload required documents. And for reference, you can always see the document spreadsheet for more details, which will be posted to the DOB website. Afterwards, you'll proceed down to the Statements and Signatures tab of the application. You will click the checkboxes for the attestations on the Statements and Signatures tab. From there, you're going to pay the renewal fee by clicking on the Pay Now button on the right-hand side of the page, which will take you into the CityPay system. After you complete your payment, you are then going to click on the Preview to File button to submit your request. Now, when you click on Preview to File, what will happen is you'll click the attestation, click the File button, and from there, the renewal request will go through QA review, and you'll be able to follow the progress of the renewal request on the My Applications tab of the DOB Now licensing dashboard. Now, what we are going to do, I'm going to switch over to our training system, and we're going to do this one live together. So I'm going to log in to DOB Now, and I'll put it on my screen momentarily for you to see once we open our dashboard. All right, just give us 1 second. I'm just waiting for the system to log in. Okay, perfect. Now our dashboard is loading. And now once we land at the DOB Now landing page, we're going to hover our mouse cursor over the DOB Now licensing icon, and we're going to go into our dashboard. Now remember, in our case, we do want to process a renewal. So what we're going to do from our dashboard, we're going to hover our mouse cursor over the renewal button, and we're going to click Renew License. Now, once we've clicked on this button for Renew License, the system is now asking me which license do we wish to process the renewal for. So I'm going to click on the radio button adjacent to the license that I wish to renew. And then we'll go ahead and click on the Proceed button. When we click on Proceed, the system is now going to ask me, is this a renewal with change, yes or no? And as we mentioned earlier in the deck, depending on the answer that I choose, I will be able to specify. So if there are no changes, I'll go ahead and click on Next. And now it's going to bring me over to the General Information tab. Now, before I proceed, I'm going to first click on the Save button at the top of our page so we can get started. And when I click on that first Save button, it's going to give me the first notification. We're going to click Save again. And then after the system processes that action, we're going to receive a second notification confirming that our application has been saved. We'll click on OK to proceed. Now, we're not done yet. We're going to now go down, and you will proceed through the application, and you'll go through the Documents tab. And from the Documents tab, you will proceed by uploading any required documentation as appropriate. And remember, depending upon the license type that you're renewing, the documents may differ. After that, you'll click on the Save button and then proceed to Statements and Signatures. From the Statements and Signatures section of the application, you're going to click the checkboxes to provide your attestations and signatures for each section. After you've done that, you will need to go ahead and make the payment by clicking on the Pay Now button. Now, when you click on the Pay Now button, it will bring you over to the CityPay system. And if you do need help for the CityPay system, we do have those training materials posted to the DOB website. After you have completed your payment, you will then proceed back to our application and you will click on the Preview to File button. And once you clicked on the Preview to File button, you will then tab through the application and click the checkbox and file on the final page. And then from there, that application would then appear on the My Applications tab of your DOB Now dashboard. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about how to manage the license. Now, to manage license requests, the contents of this dropdown will vary depending on the licenses held. And as a reminder, you can hover your mouse cursor over the Manage License button to activate the dropdown. And for this section, we will go through the options that are available for filing representatives. So the options that we'll be focusing on will be the Change Business Information, where you can update business information for filing representative registrations. Change from Class 1 to Class 2. So users holding a Class 1 filing representative license may change their license to a Class 2 using this option. To reissue a card, a license card can be reissued if the card was lost, stolen, or never received in the mail. Now, to change the business information, what you would do to proceed there, we're going to go over in this next section. So to change the business information, when you hover your mouse cursor over the Manage License drop-down button, you're going to select the option to change business information. And once you have done so, you will, from the Manage License drop-down menu, you will click the radio button for the license associated with the business you're updating. From there, you will click on the Proceed button. After, you will now be brought into the General Information tab, and you will begin by clicking Save, and then you'll click on OK on the notification prompt. Now, if there is an existing business, it will be listed under the business information. You can click the Edit button adjacent to the line to update that information, or you can use the Delete button to remove it altogether. A new business can be added after deleting the prior business by clicking the Add Business Information button. When you click on the Add Business Information button, you will enter all new business information and click on Save. If you're updating an existing business, the information will be automatically filled in, and you can edit the relevant fields and click on Update. From there, you can upload from the Documents tab all required documents to the tab. From there, you'll proceed down to the Statements and Signatures tab, where you'll click the check boxes to provide your signatures and attestations. Now, there is no fee to change the business information. You will click on Save and then follow the steps to submit that request. After which, the Manage License request will appear on the My Request tab of the DOB Now licensing dashboard. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and do one together. So we're going to log into our DOB Now dashboard again, and I'm going to log in as a specific user for this scenario. So as we log into our dashboard, I'm just waiting for our dashboard to open up. Okay, and from our dashboard, we are going to go ahead and click on our licensing option again and go into our dashboard. And now using our mouse cursor, we're going to hover over the Manage License button, and we're going to select the option for Change Business Information. Now, like we said earlier, once you click on the button, we'll be brought into the pop-up screen, which will prompt us to select the license associated. From here, we'll click on Proceed, and we're going to be brought into the General Information tab. So to kick off, we're going to click on our Save button first, and we'll click on OK once the notification confirms that this has been saved. Now, depending on what I'm doing next, so if I need to edit my existing business information, from the business information section, I can click on the Edit button here, which will allow me to edit the existing building information. So maybe we just simply need to update our phone number and click on Update. In the event that I needed to add new business information, I would need to click the Delete button to remove the existing business. And then if I want to delete the record, I'll click on Yes, and then click on Add Business Information, and then fill out the form from there. You would then proceed to the Documents section and upload the documents as appropriate. After you've uploaded your required documents, you will then proceed to the Statements and Signature section, to where you will provide click the check boxes to provide your attestation and signature. From there, you would click on Save and then Preview to File. From the Preview to File screen, you would preview the application, and on the final page, you would click the Final Attestation checkbox and then click on the File button. And then from there, once you have performed that action, on the My Request tab of your dashboard, you will see the request appear on the My Request tab. Now, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about our changes if we were to change from a Class 1 to a Class 2 license. For changing from a Class 1 to a Class 2, this option will only appear for users holding filing representative Class 1 registrations. You will select the appropriate option from the Manage License drop-down menu. From there, you will click the radio button for the license associated with the registration you are updating, and then click on Proceed. Once you've clicked on Proceed, the system is going to confirm your choice and click on Next on the Change pop-up window. Once you have arrived at the General Information section, you'll click on Save to begin, and the tab will be automatically filled in from the existing license registration information. After you clicked on Save, the existing information will be automatically filled into the background investigation, qualifications and experience, and the child support certification tabs. The system will gray out any sections that cannot be updated, and you will update all tabs as required. You will also proceed to upload all documents from the Documents tab and then sign the application on the Statements and Signature section. The fee for these changes can be found on the licensing fees document, which will be posted to the Department of Buildings website. You will pay the fees before submitting your request, and the approval process for this request will follow the same path as the initial application. These change requests will appear on the My Applications tab of the DOB Now dashboard. Now, as we did earlier, we're going to go ahead and transition back into our training environment, and we're going to process this request together. So from our DOB Now dashboard, we're going to again take our mouse cursor and we're going to hover it over the Manage License button. And from the drop-down menu, we're going to select the option Change from Class 1 to Class 2. When we click on the button, it's going to prompt us to select the license associated, and we're going to select the license that we wish to work with, and then we'll click on Proceed. From here, it'll ask us to confirm. We are changing Class 1 to Class 2, and we're going to click on Next. Now that we're landing on the General Information tab, we're going to begin by clicking on the Save button. And when we click on the Save button, we're going to click Save again on the notification prompt. And then we'll click on OK on the notification to confirm that this has been saved. From here, as we mentioned earlier, the background investigation, qualifications and experience, and the child support certification tabs have already been filled in based on what was on file for that license. From there, you will proceed to the documents section, and you can upload any required documents or any documents as necessary. You'll proceed to the statements and signature section, and you will click the attestation checkboxes. From there, you will click the Pay Now button, which will bring you over to the CityPay system to perform your payment. After your payment has gone through, you will return to the application, and you will click on Save and then Preview to File. And when you click on Preview to File, you will click through the application preview, and on the final page of that preview, you're going to click on the bottom of the preview screen, the Final Attestation checkbox, and then the File button to submit the request. And then once the request has been submitted, it will then appear in the My Applications tab of your DOB Now licensing dashboard. So moving forward, let's talk about how to reissue the card. So to reissue the card, you're going to hover your mouse over the Manage License button from your DOB Now licensing dashboard, and from the drop-down, you're going to select the option to reissue card. After you click on Reissue Card, you will click the radio button for the relevant license that you wish to have reissued. From there, the General Information tab will appear with the information automatically populated from the original license request. Now, under the Application Information section, there is going to be a field called Reason for Reissue, and you're going to have three options. The first is Stolen ID card, Lost ID card, or Never Received ID card. Now, as a note, for Never Received ID card, this option will only appear if the applicant is requesting a second reissue. Now, once the information on the General Information tab is saved, an application number is going to be generated. The process to complete the reissue is the same as the steps in the renewal process. You will fill in all new or updated information. You will upload any required documents and complete the attestation on the Statements and Signatures tab. There is a $50 fee for reissuing a license. And once the request is filled out and the fee has been paid, the applicant will click Save and then the Preview to File button to submit the application. From there, the reissue application is then reviewed by the licensing unit, and the application status is then pending QA review. Now, once the licensing unit has approved the request, the applicant will receive an email notification and the new license card in the mail within 10 business days. And the applicants, they will be able to see the reissue request on the My Applications tab of the DOB Now licensing dashboard. So just like we did a moment ago, we're going to go ahead and switch over to our training environment, and we're going to perform a reissue request together. So since I am still logged in here, I'm just going to refresh my page. And now that I've refreshed my page, I'm going to take my mouse cursor and I'm going to again hover over the Manage License button. And in this case, we're going to select the option to reissue card. When we select the option to reissue card, it's going to prompt us to select the license that we wish to have reissued. And we're going to select the option here and we'll click on Proceed. Now, after we click on Proceed, we're brought into the General Information tab. And before we do anything, we are going to select the reason for reissue. Now, in our case, we'll check off our reason. And then after we selected our reason, we're going to click on Save. Once we click on Save, the notification is going to appear. We'll click Save a second time, and then we'll receive the confirmation notification that the application has been saved. And we see now that the system has also generated a application number for us. From here, you will proceed to the document section and you'll upload the required documents. After you've uploaded the required documents, you're going to proceed to the Statements and Signatures tab. From that Statements and Signatures tab, you're going to click the attestations on each checkbox. From there, you will proceed to click the Pay Now button to pay the filing fee. After you have performed the payment through the CityPay system, and as a reminder, you can reference the CityPay how-to guide from the DOB website. You will click on Save and Preview to File. After you've clicked on Preview to File, you will click through the application preview, and on the final page of that application preview is where you'll be able to click the final attestation checkbox and then click on the File button to submit your request. After that happens, what you'll see is that the reissue request will appear on the My Applications tab of your DOB Now licensing dashboard. All right, so moving on along, we're going to talk about how to update the license holder name or address. So to update the licensee's name and or address, you're going to hover your mouse cursor over the Manage My Profile button on the dashboard and then select the option to Manage Profile. From there, a submenu is going to pop out from that option where you can make a selection of either change name, change address, name change, and address. A notification will appear to confirm the change, and you will click on Yes to proceed. From there, the applicant will be brought into a new window where they will see the existing information as well as the fields or boxes to enter new information. Once all information has been updated, you will click on the Save button to generate a request number. From there, you will proceed to the Documents tab, and in the Documents tab, the applicants must upload proof of name change, current photo ID, driver's license, learner's permit, state ID, green card, or passport, and or proof of residence, a utility bill, bank statement, or a lease or deed. From there, the license holder will then proceed to the Statements and Signature section and attest to the update by clicking the checkbox. Afterwards, they will click the Save button to save the request, and the request cannot be submitted until the $50 fee is paid. So remember, the $50 fee is per license, and then after they will click on the Pay Now button from the bottom right menu to make the payment. And again, that will bring you over to the CityPay system. After you've done so, and you've made your payment, you will click the Preview to File button to submit the request. And if acceptable, you can click the checkbox to attest on the final page, and then click on Submit to submit the request. Now, once the licensing unit has approved the request, the applicant will receive an email notification and the new license card in the mail within 10 business days. So before we move on, let's go into our important notes. And for our important notes, we have a couple more things we want to share with you. Now, the information in an approved DOB Now licensing application creates a DOB Now profile. When the email address associated with a DOB Now profile is entered into a filing in DOB Now Build, DOB Now Safety, or DOB Now Biz Options, it will auto-populate with the information provided. Licenses issued in DOB Now licensing are automatically reflected in your DOB Now profile and no longer require authentication. NYC ID account is required to access DOB Now. An e-filing account is no longer needed, and updates made in e-filing will not sync with your DOB Now profile. Any changes to these licenses are made directly in DOB Now licensing. And with that said, I do thank you for attending this morning's webinar session. If you did happen to have any questions that you dropped into the chat during the session this morning, our subject matter experts are in the chat trying to answer those questions. And I'll go ahead and pass you back to my colleague. And please stand by for our Q&A segment.
Okay, thank you. And we do want to apologize. I know some people apparently had some audio issues, so we will go back and listen to the audio, and if need be, we may have to re-record this for the YouTube, but I think for the most part, though, we were able to get through this pretty well. So thank you again to Martha